Why do we have classes? Why do we have parties? To depend on each other. To work together to solve problems that a single one of us couldn't handle. You can't be good at everything, in D&D and in real life. So it's important to have people with a variety of skills and approaches working together. Though it might feel like certain playstyles are objectively stronger, all that theorizing can be turned on its head with the right encounter. Welcome to Critically Misused, a show where we look at misunderstood aspects of D&D. On this episode, we'll be covering the class challengers, monsters specifically designed to challenge certain playstyles. Let's start with the mechanically strongest, the Hydra, as recommended by Alchemist. Hydras are prowling reptilian monstrosities born of the blood of Linnea as she fell to Tiamat. They prowl the swamps and wetlands, satiating their hunger with whatever is available, including their own heads. DMs that run them warn that even CR8 is too low, and that new DMs should be wary of throwing them against an inexperienced party. Hydra's signature ability should come as no surprise to any fans of Greek mythology, which is most of you, I think. It can regrow 2 heads from each one that is decapitated, increasing the number of attacks the Hydra can make. Furthermore, the heads die after a certain amount of hit points are lost, regardless of how the damage is dealt. Rules as written, you cannot stab it in the back, as I always thought was smarter. Hydras are particularly strong against parties with all martials or all casters. If your party relies too heavily on running straight into the fight, the Hydra will course correct those who survive. But if they have no way to keep it back, they will all be shredded before their spells take effect. A well-placed burning sphere from the druid will stop the head regeneration. From there, melee martials will keep it in place with sentinel or grappling, taking the hits that the casters couldn't. Defeating this monster requires heavy-hitting frontliners and mages to cooperate. If either is missing, the monster wins. The martial caster gap debate rages on endlessly, its existence agreed upon but its source debated. I, personally, blame the extreme versatility of casters and the lack of versatility of martials. There are very few things a martial can do that a caster can't, and even fewer monsters designed against casters, not martials. But there are still some. From Strixhaven, we get a monster designed to hunt mages, named, fittingly, the Mage Hunter. These Tyranid lookalikes have 2 forms, a floating sentry form and an insectoid hunter form. While in sentry form, they can slowly hover in search of targets, emitting pulses that highlight nearby spellcasters and preparing for the moment to strike. Once a caster has been found, the monster will unfurl its claws and begin to attack. Mage Hunters are the absolute bane of any caster, thanks to their ability to consume and destroy spells. Whenever the hunter takes damage from a spell, it can use its reaction to take half damage instead, redirecting the other half at the caster. Spells that don't deal damage often require intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throws, all of which the Mage Hunter has proficiency in. Not to mention the creature can't be frightened or charmed, which makes it immune to most spells the party has access to at this level. And Mr. help you if you hit multiple with the same spell. That's basically a death sentence. The solution is rather simple. Cast spells to buff your martials instead. The hunter can only redirect spells that deal damage to it, meaning casting Aid or even Polymorph on your party members works excellently against it. The target can grapple creatures within range, so it's best to stay back and hit it from afar with bows and crossbows. Web and plant growth also work well to keep the creature away from you while the archers pick it away, though you should probably make sure there are no walls nearby it can climb beforehand. I'd say the biggest flaw of the Mage Hunter is that it came out in Strixhaven, a book that was rightfully disliked for being nothing but the bare bones of a campaign. If you're opposed to the site and want a monster from a good book, I'd recommend the Grimishka from Ravenloft. They aren't as well designed, in my opinion, but they'll still cause quite the scare, especially if there's multiple of them. Jiangqi are dangerous undead, born of undying vengeance towards the living. Their Consume Energy ability gives them a bottomless pool of hit points in combat, and lets them spread their curse to the defenseless commoners in the area. When I first mentioned this undead in my World Enders video, I had not fully researched the scope of its abilities. It's an incredibly intelligent, incredibly strong shapeshifter with the ability to self-replicate, making it perhaps the most dangerous world ender of all. In order to properly face the Jiangqi, the players must know what it is, where it is, and who it's targeting. The first, the players must need to know its capabilities and weaknesses in order to properly fight it. Second, they will have to figure out the identity of the Jiangshi and who it seeks vengeance against. Third, they will have to search the locals for a shape-shifting monster, recognizing incoherent stories or faulty information, which involves outwitting a very intelligent undead. All of these tasks require players to engage with the story, lest the nightmare escape and wreak havoc somewhere else. The Jiangshi is a treat for those paying attention, and a reason to engage for those who aren't. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you've made it this far, consider dropping a like and subscribing, and perhaps suggest a monster you'd like to see me cover in the comments below. Wizards of the Coast's new decisions seem to be stifling creators, but I won't back down from making the content I love. Safe travels, until we meet again.